All right, let's dive in today. We're looking at this blog post called The Art of Screen Massacre. It's by Stephen Pinkwart. And, well, the title itself kind of gives you a hint. We might be in for a pretty wild ride. Oh, yeah. Knowing Pinkwart, we're probably going to find some pretty deep thoughts in here, kind of buried under what at first glance just looks like a rant about a broken monitor.
Yeah, exactly. It starts up pretty normal. FedEx delivery.
You know, a left to the front door kind of deal. But then, well, things take a bit of a dark turn. Pinkwart gets his new monitor. But let's just say it didn't arrive in one piece.
Yeah, more like a lot of pieces. And Pinkwart really, he doesn't hold back on the details. He describes it as like a corpse being dumped in the woods. It's that dark humor that just hooks you right away.
Oh, it's brutal. But I don't know, you can't help but laugh. He even calls the delivery guy Chuck the Destroyer. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Where does he come up with these names?
It's like he's setting the stage for a Greek tragedy or something. But instead of a fallen hero, we have a shattered monitor. But you got to admit, that over-the-top imagery, it really grabs your attention.
Oh, totally. And then it gets even better. He plays back the security footage, and he describes Chuck's attitude as like, I don't know, a mix of indifference and I don't give a damn. Like Chuck was on a mission to destroy, not deliver.
Yeah, the way he describes him, you can practically see Chuck just tossing the package onto the porch, like some kind of villain in a slapstick comedy, totally oblivious to the chaos he's causing.
But then Pinkwart does something really interesting. He goes from this hilarious, almost morbid story about the delivery to like a more philosophical reflection.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, hey, life throws you curveballs, right? Sometimes those curveballs come in the form of a FedEx guy named Chuck. He's using this broken screen to talk about resilience, about finding beauty and imperfection. It's surprisingly deep for what seems like, just an everyday annoyance.
It's like he's pulling life lessons from a destroyed monitor. And get this, he connects this whole thing to storytelling. He says, to really captivate an audience, you got to break expectations. Embrace the absurd, just like Chuck did with his delivery technique.
Makes you wonder if he's suggesting we should all channel our inner Chuck when it comes to, telling a story. Is chaos the key to a good narrative? It's a pretty provocative idea, and it definitely makes you want to hear more.
He even gives us a 3-step process for how to do it, and I'm taking notes here. Step 1, lull your audience into a false sense of security. It's like setting a trap, right?
Exactly. He gives the example of starting a story with something like, I got a screen delivered today. It's totally mundane, almost boring. But that's the whole point. You lull the audience into this sense of normalcy, and then bam, you hit them with the unexpected.
Which brings us to step 2. Bam, hit them with a twist. Something totally out of left field, like Chuck didn't deliver this screen, he executed it. Talk about a plot twist, right?
It's like a punch to the gut, but in a good way, That contrast between delivered and executed, it's jarring, but also hilariously unexpected. It makes you laugh, but also it makes you pay attention.
And it leaves you wanting more, which is exactly what a good storyteller wants. But it's not just about shock value, is it? He doesn't just leave you hanging. He goes on to step 3, offer a glimmer of hope, a way to make sense of the chaos.
Right. He says, but you know what's beautiful about everything breaking? You can put it back together. And suddenly you realize the cracks are what make the story interesting. It's a pretty profound message about resilience, about finding beauty in imperfection.
He takes a broken screen and turns it into a metaphor for life, for storytelling. It's brilliant. And he even hints that his book, Poetry Master, goes deeper into these ideas.
It's a subtle plug for his book, but hey, it's effective. Like he's saying, hey, this was just a taste. If you want the full course, check out my book.
And he ends the post with this hilarious call to action. He tells readers to embrace their inner Chuck, to challenge expectations, and stay creative. It's a perfect ending, leaves you entertained and inspired.
It's like he's giving us permission to be a little chaotic, a little unexpected, and honestly, who wouldn't want to unleash their inner Chuck sometimes? It's refreshing, and it makes you want to, try something new, break the rules a little.
So what have we learned today? Well, a broken monitor can teach you a lot about storytelling. And maybe, just maybe, a little dose of Chuck is what we all need to spice up our own narratives.
Welcome back. It's kind of crazy how Pinkwart can take something like a broken monitor, something so ordinary, and turn it into this like masterclass in storytelling.
Right. It's like he's saying, look, life's full of these little Chuck the Destroyer moments.
Yeah.
You just got to know how to use them to your advantage.
Exactly. And he doesn't just give us some vague advice either. He actually gives us a framework, you know. Remember that three-step process he talked about for captivating an audience? Let's dig into that a little bit more.
All right, so step one is shatter expectations into pieces.
Yeah.
He says you got to start with a mundane setup, something that lulls the audience into a false sense of security.
Yeah, like setting a trap, right? You want them to be comfortable, maybe even a little bored before you spring the surprise on them.
So instead of starting a presentation with some grand statement, you open with something totally ordinary, like, so I was making coffee this morning.
And everyone's thinking, okay, where's this going? What does coffee have to do with anything? But that's the whole point, right? You've got their attention. Now they're curious.
Exactly. You've set the stage, and now you can hit them with step two, throw the bomb straight in their faces. This is where you introduce the surprise, the unexpected turn of events.
And Pinkwart really emphasizes vivid imagery here. He says, describe every detail so brutally it hurts, but with a dash of humor. That shocks and makes them laugh, the kind of laugh that feels a little wrong.
It's like when you watch a dark comedy, and you're not sure if you should laugh or be horrified.
Exactly, but you can't look away.
Think about how he describes the broken monitor. He doesn't just say, "Oh, this is damaged." He paints this picture of a corpse dumped in the woods. It's shocking, but it's kind of funny.
Right, it sticks with you.
So you've shocked your audience, they're hooked. Now what? Well, Pinkwart says you got to let them wallow in the pain and then give them hope.
This is the resolution, right? This is where you offer a glimmer of hope, a way to make sense of all the chaos you just unleashed.
So in Pinkwart's story, the hope comes from his realization that the broken screen can be pieced back together, that the cracks, they actually make the story more interesting.
Yeah, and he connects that back to storytelling, arguing that the unexpected, the imperfections, that's what makes a narrative truly captivating.
And it's not just about storytelling either. Think about like a business presentation. What if, instead of trying to present this perfect, polished image, you embrace the cracks, the challenges, the unexpected turns?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a more engaging, more human story?
Absolutely. It's about being authentic, being relatable, and realizing that sometimes the things that go wrong, those are the things that make the story worth telling.
It's like Pinkwart saying, don't be afraid to break the mold, to challenge conventions. That's often where the most interesting stories are.
Now, Pinkwart mentions that his book, Poetry Master, goes into a lot more detail about these storytelling techniques. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
I haven't, but it's definitely on my list. He promises to reveal even more tools of manipulation for captivating an audience,
Yeah.
which sounds both intriguing and a little terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, based on this blog post, I have no doubt he delivers on that promise. He's got this knack for combining insightful advice with his dark humor.
And it's not just for writers either. He encourages anyone to apply these techniques, whether you're giving a presentation, writing an email, or just telling a story at a party.
It's about finding the Chuck in your own life, you know, those unexpected moments that can turn an ordinary story into something really captivating.
And recognizing that sometimes a little bit of chaos can be the key to a great story. Welcome back to the show. We're still trying to piece together our sanity after Pinkwart's The Art of Screen Massacre. I mean, who knew a broken monitor could be so philosophical?
Right, but that's Pinkwart for you. He takes something so ordinary,
Yeah.
and he turns it into like a lesson on storytelling, on life, on everything.
He's like the MacGyver of narrative, crafting these compelling stories out of like duct tape and broken dreams. Exactly. But you know, just because Pinkwart makes it look easy doesn't mean we can all just, you know, start chucking bombs into our stories and expect like brilliance to just explode out. There's a certain finesse to it, you know?
Yeah, there's that saying, too much of a good thing can be bad, right? That
Yeah.
You don't want to like overdo the shock value and end up just completely alienating your audience. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between surprise and substance.
Think of it like seasoning a dish,
Oh.
right? A pinch of Pinkwart's shock and awe can add depth and flavor, but a whole fistful,
Yeah.
you're just going to end up with a mess.
So how do we avoid going overboard? How do we know how much Chuck is too much Chuck?
Well, I mean, Pinkwart himself gives us a good example.
Mhm.
He uses dark humor
Yeah.
to address the absurdity of the situation.
Yeah.
Right. But he never loses sight of that deeper message. about resilience and finding beauty and imperfections. Like he's saying, okay, this is messed up, but let's see what we can learn from it. So it's not just about like shock for shock's sake. There needs to be a purpose, a message you're trying to convey.
Exactly. And not every story needs a dramatic twist. Sometimes a simple, well-told narrative can be just as powerful. It's about choosing the right tool for the job, you know?
It's like you wouldn't use a sledgehammer to crack an egg. You just end up with scrambled chaos.
Right. So when you're thinking about Pinkwort's approach, ask yourself, does this unexpected element, does it serve the story, or am I just trying to be shocking?
Okay, so we've talked about what not to do. But how can we, like as nonfiction writers, podcasters, or even just people trying to tell a good story at a party, how can we actually apply these principles?
It's about being observant,
Yeah.
finding those unexpected moments in our own experiences and using them to illustrate a larger point. It could be a personal anecdote, a historical event, a scientific discovery, anything that makes you stop and say, wait, that's weird.
It's like that time I tried to bake a cake for my friend's birthday.
Yeah.
And it ended up looking like a volcanic eruption.
We're still a disaster.
Right. But it also made for a pretty hilarious story about my disastrous baking skills.
Exactly. You took that Chuck the Destroyer moment, the volcanic cake, and you turned it into this relatable, humorous anecdote. You embraced the crack, the imperfection, and it made the story more engaging.
So the next time you're crafting a story, a presentation, or even just an email, ask yourself, what's the unexpected element here?
Yeah.
Where's the Chuck hiding?
And how can I use it to surprise, to engage, and ultimately to leave a lasting impression on my audience? It's about taking Pinkwort's advice and making it your own.
Well, I think we've successfully dissected Pinkwort's The Art of Screen Massacre, and managed to avoid any major mental breakdowns in the process.
We've explored the depths of his storytelling philosophy, uncovered the secrets of Chuck the Destroyer, and hopefully inspired you to embrace a little chaos in your own communication.
And if you're looking to delve even deeper into the dark arts of storytelling, be sure to check out Pinkwort's book, Poetry Master, Posy Craft in 7 Tagen. It's packed with even more insights and probably some questionable life choices.
And remember, as Pinkwort would say, stay creative.
Until next time, keep those creative juices flowing.
Right.
And don't be afraid to break a few screens along the way. Who knows, you might just uncover your own storytelling masterpiece in the process.